We've got audio, and we are ready to begin. Very well. Shabbat Shalom, my most esteemed friends, honorable judges, LVE tribe, as well as everyone else accompanying us. On this rather precious, heated day of Shabbat, we're already almost finishing summer. We have, I believe, 2 more Shabbats left, or 2.5, 3 at most, to finish summer and start with autumn. Today is Shabbat, Elul the 13th, the 6th month of the year 5994, corresponding to the 6th of September of the year 2025, in which we shall study yet another chapter of the Spirit of the Feasts, part 47. I hope you are listening to me well. I hope so. Leslie, let me know of anything. If you see that, if they can hear me well, perfect. In this chapter, we shall advance a bit more, but I'd like to answer a question that I was asked. They asked me to not answer it publicly, but I'll treat it anonymously and answer it publicly because this type of questions sometimes write to me and they require an answer of mine that it's written, but it's very complicated. It's many different subjects at the same time, so then we'll answer it here because I thought it was interesting. Maybe some of you have similar questions or kind of like that in your mind, and that's fine. To answer it orally. I didn't even ask permission, but since it's going to be anonymous anyway, very well. I'd like to congratulate those who have had a birthday today. We have a birthday here today also. So then I'll start to mention them. Everyone who have had a birthday during this week. Ariel Edgardo Heyer, Argentina. Janet Gonzalez, Colombia. Deisica Joana Molina Lopez, Guatemala. Cristian Perez, Chile. Josias Brevis, Chile. Claudia Felisa Rubio, Spain. Kevin Montiel, Colombia. Roselia Godoy, El Salvador. Obed Adiel Hernandez Martinez, the US of A. Carlos Daniel Meraz Parra, Mexico. Nestor Mendieta, Argentina. And 2 people, or rather young people, one of them will be here next week to celebrate their birthday. They're not here today, but either way, we'll send them a great big hug, huge, to Belen Dalet Siloch, whose birthday we'll be celebrating. Her mom promised that we're going to eat some delicious tacos next Shabbat. So then it's already a promise and you have to fulfill it. We'll wait for you next Shabbat, the whole entire Siloch lineage. And Sariel Joel Roblero, who's here with us today. Happy birthday. How old are you? 9. 9. Wow, 9 years old. Sariel is. He's so big. And now we're going to be eating some delicious hamburgers. Delicious hamburgers. Celebrating Sariel's birthday. So then, a very happy birthday, Sariel. And we'll be celebrating your birthday. And also that of your cousins, Belen, who is also having a birthday, but is not here with us today, but we'll be celebrating it exactly next Shabbat. So then for all the rest of you that I've mentioned you, a great big hug on behalf of all of us. And many blessings. Someone said the other day, I'm not sure if they commented or asked. Sometimes I get confused because if I don't answer in the moment or not, I can't remember if it was a comment or they asked me if when I say blessings, if I'm referring to blessings from God. Right. All of the Christians and where we come from, when we say blessings, we're referring automatically to saying God bless you. That those are blessings. Blessings. We can add blessings of God, God bless you, but it's the same thing. It's not the same thing to what I'm saying. When I say blessings, I'm not saying blessings of God. God is not here to bless anything. We grow, curse it, and we continue curse it. The blessings are on behalf of those who are telling you. If I tell you blessings, they are most sincere prosperity wishes for the person that it is directed to. They are blessings, they are good words. Prosperity. May you have success. May you have things do well for you, because I pronounce it, or you may pronounce it, or any one of us can pronounce it. And you're speaking well, good things for the person. Now, malediction, which is a curse, it doesn't mean that it comes from the one that cursed us all. Those are daily. I'm talking about a person that can curse someone. You understand it better, because a person can curse you. We don't take that as automatically coming from God. But what does the word malediction mean? It is malediction. It is a word said not incorrectly, but said to do evil, to cause evil. It is a word that brings evil, which are pronounced by those who want your evil, because it's too easy to say, may God curse you. I'm directing it to a third to say it, which is just as stupid as saying, may God bless you. I don't want to bless you. Oh, may God bless you. What do you mean, may God bless you? So if I had a friend whose name is John, and he says, may John bless you, and John says, hold on, what are you saying? Or may John help you. They come ask for help, and they say, no, may John help you. John's going to say, hold on, if I want to help him, I'll help him. There's no need for you to say for me to help him. So when the people say, may God bless you, they're literally washing their hands without knowing it, saying, look, I don't want anything positive for you. If anything, let God give you anything positive. Everything's wrong. Everything wrong. It's horrible when people say, may God bless you. No, all of you can just, you know what to do. And we're not going to start this subject with bad words already, because people listen to that and they leave running. So when I say blessings, or you say blessings, they are the blessings of you, your wishes. It's the same thing as to say, I wish you the best. No, God wishes you the best. God wishes you the best. No, I wish you the best. Doesn't matter what God wishes, does, or says. I, that I love you, I, that I appreciate you, I wish you the best. So then when I say blessings for all of you, it is my best omen wished for you on behalf of the one that is talking to you. If I say blessings from all of us, it's all of us as a group, blessings for you. So then you already know. Somebody asked me, when you say blessings, blessings, on behalf of whom? The one that's speaking to you. And you the same thing. You the same thing. Of course. If you tell your family members, I bless you, they're going to be like, who the fuck does this guy think he is? Sounds kind of weird, huh? I bless you. Take my blessing. No, the son of a bitch, Abraham could bless, right? What did they go and look for with Jacob? Oh, well, that's fine. In Argentina, we've seen it in movies. We've seen it in movies. In Argentina, we don't practice that, but in the Bible, we all read that. Both Jacob as well as Esau went and looked for the blessing of their father, not of God, of their father. And when their father blessed them, God didn't bless them, he blessed them. So then, the blessing comes from the mouth that pronounces it. Never say, let the other bless you. No, what is that? There's also an expression that somebody commented that said, may God pay you for it. Yeah, may God pay you for it. Yeah, because I'm not thinking of paying you. May God pay you. They're like, how are you going to pay for this? I don't know. May God pay you. Right. May God bless you. Same thing. But look, may God bless you is the same thing as to say, may God pay for you for this. May God reward you, because I have the worst thoughts for you. But oh well, may God bless you. You see how it's complete insanity. We have to start to change things, okay? We have to start to change things. So then, yes, we do give our blessing with our mouth. And we don't speak for thirds. We do not speak for thirds. If you have it in your heart, say blessings to your children, to your wife. How beautiful, right? Your wife is going to be surprised if your husband blesses you. Blessed be thou amongst all the women. Who has said that? Who said that? Oh, you don't know who said that? The angel told Miriam, right? Mary, right? It doesn't may God bless you. The angel speaking with his mouth says, blessed art thou amongst all women. Very well. Perfect. So then let us learn to speak properly. Completely properly. Now you're going to see all the Christian comments and other videos saying, may God bless you, may God bless you. It's going to be ridiculous, because that's what they are, ridiculous. Very well. Don't forget that we've got a free service, which is Angelina's. If you're going through some sort of physical situation that's not too favorable, unfavorable, rather, to find out where its origin is, we have the free Angelina's consult. It's in the Facebook below this video, in the description thereof. This is Angelina's Facebook. You write to her, you get in touch with her, and she will make an appointment for you. Very well. The feasts are coming up. I've spoken a bit about the feast. I'm not going to speak about the feast today. There's no time, but I left it in doubt whether we're going to sound the trumpet in Yom Kippur. Yes, Brian, prepare for yourself and bring whatever, wherever the trumpet is. Because we are going to, on September 22nd, we're going to make the trumpet sound. For what reason? Because I was studying the feasts, and what we talked about the feasts and all the rest. And yes, because Yom Teruah talks about a calling for what? For Yom Kippur. That calling was ours. It was a calling that we made so that in Yom Kippur we would start the constitution of the new kingdom. So then it's a feast of ours. It doesn't belong to anyone else. Of course, we're going to remember it. We're not calling anyone. But we're remembering that we call to make a feast in Yom Kippur. And still, we can still say that we're still calling, because we invite the people, to those who wish, to be able to add themselves to that list that we made last year in Yom Kippur of the people that we blamed Yahweh of everything that has taken place on this earth. If you haven't done so yet, and you're interested in my words, and you are interested in part of the words in that document, write to me here and say, I want to be a part of the LVE Constitution that you send in 2024, something like that. This is my name, so, and I live in this place. And I'll add you to that document. You have a unique opportunity to do so, and that is precisely Yom Teruah, Day of Trumpets, of announcement, and I'm still announcing. Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. Hear, O Israel, Yahweh our God, Yahweh one is. And here, what starts is the uncovering of the scriptures, because they're covered. This is the first key that allows for the first cover to be opened. If you don't open with this, then you're not going to open with anything else, because you need this key to understand that the God Creator is one alone. It's not two. He doesn't have a divine Son. He doesn't have a third person that accompanies him, that is the Holy Spirit. They did not create the earth with three people. It was only one person with different names. He made himself be known in different ways, different phases, however you want to see it. That only person, though, did not have a son or a being or a friend or a co-eternal or a co-equal to give, because It was only himself. So then, when a being said that he showed up, no Son of God could have come. Even the Christians believe, consciously so, they believe in a lie because they know that it's not a son really. It was called a son, but it was not a son. It was a being, a co-eternal being with the other being. So then already the premise of that God, by love, he sent us a son, it's already a lie because it is a role that is acted upon. Now if the Christian, which are very few, they think that it is a true Son of God, then they have to understand by logic that he had a beginning. At some point in time, in eternity, he had a beginning. And if that divine being, that original divine being, had a son, here comes the question, whom did he have it with? Was there another, or was it on his own? There could be two options. There are Christian churches that believe that the Holy Spirit is the mother, and they teach it as such, as I am saying. That the Father is the Father, the Holy Spirit is the mother, and that the Son is the product of the two. That is how they teach it in many churches. Not many, mind you, but there are churches that teach it that way. There are very few, but there are. Many people believe that. Very few churches. And, well, if that is your thought, it's also a lie. Absolutely, it's all a lie. Because this text that I've just read, that is in Deuteronomy, which is the Shemah, tells you that the God of Israel is one alone. He doesn't have a son, doesn't have a wife, it's not a family, it's not the sacred family, it's not the Trinity, it's nothing. It's only one person. So then who came 2,000 years ago? If he didn't have a son to give, if he didn't have a co-equal that was going to enter into a line role of a son, who came then? There are two options. Or no one came, and one rose that lied, and he said, I'm the Son of God. But there's no Son of God. That could be one option. A false one, as all the Jews said, false. The other option being that the only God that there was wanted to have the experience as a human being, and he came as a human being. That option is the one that we believe in. So then the one that came was not the Son, it was the only one there is. Not even to say the Father. The only one there is. If you want to call him the Father of creation, that's fine. The Father of all creation, that's fine. But it's the only one that there is, the only being that there is. So then he became a Son of Man. Of course, because he was born a Son of Man. It was divine nature. It was the very same God creator, covered with humanity, what they call reincarnation. No, not reincarnation, the incarnation. The incarnation thereof. The holy incarnation is what? A being that has no flesh. He gets covered with flesh. So then the incarnation is that divine being incarnated himself. He incarnated himself. Just like when you have a nail that goes into your flesh, it hurts. That's the same thing, just so you understand what it is. For something to be engraved in the flesh is that it doesn't belong to him, but he got into it. So then that is what incarnation is, that a being that didn't have any human flesh, he went into a human flesh, and he was born as a human, but the whole time he was a divine being, covered in human flesh. The same thing, it's equal to the parable or the image that he said. It's the same thing. A divine being that's incarnated is identical to a wolf that is dressed as a sheep. A God dressed as a human is a wolf. And he said, careful with those that come, and actually they are wolves in sheep's clothing. So then God, actually, that came to earth, he was not human, he was God, he was a wolf, a raging wolf, dressed as a human. He died He lied in everything, saying, I'm the Son of God, saying, my Father, that's a lie. He would pray because he was lying, because he was covering up the whole situation. Do we believe that that being existed? Yes, of course. Yes, of course. Do we believe that what happened with the being that was made flesh, he disappeared forever? Just like Paul says that, I can't remember where, but I can't remember where. As much as we know Christ, we don't know him anymore. Whether it has to do with that or not, I'm telling you, that Christ, human Christ, that people saw no longer exists. So that human Christ does not exist anymore, he also does not exist now and will never exist, because he was only exclusively a cover of a being that wanted to cover himself up. It's kind of like when a wolf dresses up in sheep's clothing in this parable. When he takes off the sheep's clothing, what happens with the sheep? Is he actually a sheep? No, he never existed. He never existed. So then that whole human cover of that Christ that the people love does not exist, and he never existed as a being because he was not human. When we talk about a human being, he's a human being that's authentic, that has a human spirit, that was born as a human, didn't have a previous existence. He's not going into the flesh at all. He's an authentic being, original. The one that came was not an original being. The original being was covered up in a human mask. So then, when he takes that human mask off, what is left of what's human? Nothing. Never again will the people see and be able to touch or anything that human Christ, because that human Christ is a mask. He didn't have life, he didn't have a human mind, he didn't have anything. It was just the outside bark. It's just like the wolf dressing up in sheep's clothing. When the wolf is alive and the sheep is just a cover, if he takes that off, all is left is a wolf. You can't say, I want to see the sheep. The sheep does not exist. The sheep does not exist. It's just a cover. So then the human Christ is a cover that the people will never again see. All of Christianity was programmed to see that human Christ. That's why they have drawn him. That's why they have an image of him. And they think that that human Christ is the one that comes in the clouds. It's the same Christ that comes in the clouds. What a deception once they understand that that human Christ never existed. It was just a cover. The one that existed was the Creator behind that mask. They hope to see the mask, and the mask no longer exists. So then, why did we get to that? Because they did not understand Shemah Israel, YHWH Eloheinu, YHWH Ekhad. John 8:31-32. Then the Messiah said that being that was in the flesh to the Jews that had believed on him, if ye were to remain in my word, then you should truly be my disciples, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Well, the truth is the one that I just told you. Once you know the truth, you know who that person was. He exists? Of course he did. Was he true? Of course he was true. But it was true what was behind the mask, the Creator. When Philip told him, show us the Father and it's enough, what did he tell him? What did he tell him? I've been with you so long and you don't know me? I'm the Father. It is very clear. It is very clear the subject is. Why does all this take place? Because the Bible is uncovered. Proverbs 25:2. It is the glory of Elohim to cover the word. It is covered. As also he was covered. Yet it is the honor of the king or the glory of the king, is to search out, to understand the word. The rest of the world, Christian, non-Christian, Jewish, Muslim, they're going to say before the new God, Jeremiah 16:19 through 21, speaking about the new God of the earth, my strength and my fortress, my refuge in the day of tribulation. Unto thee shall come the peoples, that thee is the new God of the earth. Unto thee shall come the peoples from the ends of the earth, and shall say, only lies was the inheritance of our fathers. Christian lie, Jewish lie, Muslim lie, pagan lies, vanity to which there is no avail. If it is man that makes himself gods, we made ourselves. Jesus is God, the Holy Spirit is God. We made all types of gods, whereas the Trinity is a God. Then they're not gods. That is why, behold, I shall make it be known. This time I shall show them the strength of mine arm, and you shall know that my name is Yod He Bav He. That means I am that I am, which means that it is hidden. It is a new name that I'll be given to be known. That will be revealed. I am that I am. I'll call myself whatever I want to call myself, but I am that I am. And you shall know that my name is. You shall know in its due time. Malachi 2:17, a text that no one understands except for you. Someone, supposedly Israel, it's supposedly because it's all symbols and parables and written in hidden writings, but the whole world, in one way or another, all of us, we call out and say, you have wearied Yahweh, and we say, what have we wearied him? And this says that whomever that doth evil pleaseth Yahweh, and in such he delighteth, or else where is the Elohim of justice? Yahweh says, you're right. I'm not the Elohim of justice. I'll send you an Elohim of justice. And precisely here is when this whole ministry starts. Here is the Elohim of justice. LVE is the Elohim of justice. So then, why are we going to celebrate and sound the trumpet in Yom Teruah? For what reason? Because Yom Teruah is the announcement of the kingdom of the Mashiach. That is why it's worth it. That's why it's worth it. Not Sukkot, because Sukkot is what we're going through now. It's not the best. It's the worst of all the times in history. For us, that we're going to remember later. Because for us, there were worse times in history. But for us, we didn't live the other times. We just lived this time. And this time is disastrous. It's horrible. This time is. It is terrifying. This time for us, even though they're better than other times. I'm not talking about that, but for us, that we live in this time, in our period of life. It is not pleasing to live here. Once you understand that there's no justice, there's no truth, it's all concealed, it's all a lie. It is a reign of Yahweh. It is when you stop to see things as that life is beautiful, that life, if you know how to enjoy it, you have to thank for everything, for the experiences. I used to have that type of thinking of the glass being half full and not half empty. I had that type of thinking because we could get up every day and say, thank you, this mate, this coffee so good, how beautiful it is to be Argentinian, which you can say because you're all Argentinian. I don't speak to any other. How beautiful to be Argentinian, how beautiful to be of Boca, even if they lose. How beautiful to be of Boca. I am so happy. And if you're married, how beautiful it is to be married. If you have children, how beautiful it is to have children. If you're single, how beautiful it is to be single. It's all beautiful. You can think of it that way, positively. You have a job, how beautiful it is to work. You don't have a work, how good it is to be in a vacuum without doing anything. I'm just having a great time. Everything you can see it as positively. As also, you can also see everything negative. The same thing, but negative. So then, how do we look at life? I'd learned to look at it always in the positive way. Not to complain, to look at the positive thing. How beautiful it is to breathe even there's smoke. How beautiful is the cold even though we're shivering. How beautiful is to put on a coat or get up in the morning even if you're tired. What a privilege it is to breathe. You know how many people are not breathing anymore and I can still breathe? We need the air. For it to go, deep into your lungs. How many people want that in there? In the best of the cases, with a tank, or not even a tank, or nor do they have lungs to breathe. So then they taught me that whole philosophy. Let's see, when you're too nervous, you're perturbed, depressed, kind of down like this, and you see everything as negative. You have to start to see everything positive. The air, the flowers, listen to the birds, how beautiful, it's all beautiful. That is what they taught me to look at life. And you know what? I mean, that's fine to look at it that way. If you want to live in a world of fantasy, that's fine, that's fine. You can look at it in a world of fantasy, but in the measure that life goes on and you become older and more wise, until you become harder and more stupid. But at least that is what happens from now. As a great philosopher said, youth is a sickness that gets cured with time. And it is very good if you start to think about it. The youth, it's a dangerous sickness, very dangerous. Because many don't go past the youth, because the youth kills them because they have no limits, they don't calculate, they're very stupid. They allow themselves to get pregnant early and they ruin their existence. So then the youth, it's a dangerous sickness, but it gets cured with time. So then my time of youth, I would say everything, how beautiful like Solomon, how beautiful. In my times of wisdom, which is now, I start to say it's all dog shit, like Solomon said. And the other time comes in the insanity where you already don't even want to live and you become insane and you die. So that's what's happened. You're stupid, you grow up, you learn about lies, and then they tell you greatest lies, that you have to thank God for everything and breathe and look for the positive thing in life. And you say, yeah, that's fine. Everything positive. Why look at the negative? Just positive. I just think that was great. Have to be positive, and you advance in life, and everything's positive. There comes a point in which you say, is it worth it to be so positive? Yeah, at least you live better. You're not so depressed. And at least you live in a world enjoying, advance in life. But when you start to feel older and more mature, and you see that your best physical years are gone, you start to say, to tell the truth, it was fun and all, it was all fine. But what happens now? I see that pending, like if there was a mountain and you start to go down, and every time you start to roll faster and faster, and you know that below is the cemetery. And you know it, and there's no way of stopping it, and then you start to roll. There's no way of stopping, because when you were young and stupid, you saw everything beautiful. You would see things without fear. You would see things as if the world was yours with energy. Yeah, we have the youth that are depressed. I didn't live that, though. And they taught me not to live that. Because if you start the youth with depression, I don't even want to know. Well, when you get to 50, 60 years old, wow. You're going to be those people that are so bitter if they get there. The youth is with joy, because you have strength, you have vitality, you have the strength of all kinds, Which starts with sexual strength. That's why at 18 years old, give or take, but in 2025, you get to the sexual peak. Then what comes is the decadence, where it's absolute. And then that's why the pills came up in order to help a little bit. And the brutal fall that comes after. Not just that falls off, your flesh falls off. Your hair goes white. Who the fuck wants to have white hair? You look at this mirror, you have white hair. You're not as positive as before. How beautiful is life with white hair? That's great. No, women start to dye their hair, men too. And they have to take the pills to have a bit of vigor. You lose about 2 to 3% per year. They lose testosterone, the men do. They start to think like with less testosterone. They start to go on the feminine side. That's why their character starts to change, because they don't have testosterone. That's why the grandparents are so sweet. You know, those grandparents that have been those bad fathers that would hit the children, and now with the grandchildren, it's like, oh, they're so sweet, and they'd be like, wait a minute, you know how these guys would hit me? And now they spoil the grandchildren. And many of you would say the slightest of a bad word, they would turn my face. But the grandchild, he can say anything. They say, "Oh, it's so funny." They become so like with a sweet woman, like when he was a strong man that would do everything that would work. No, he becomes so sweet until that idiot father starts to become also not having sexual energy, just wants to look at girls, younger girls, and he is slobbering over it because he can't do anything else. So then these old men, they get into the sense that they start to look at the young girls, the younger girls. Why does a man look at the young girls? I'll tell you why. What maybe the psychologists don't tell you, I'm sure that the old men start to look at the young girls because they want to steal youth from anywhere. They're losing it. That makes them feel a little better. Psychological, all of it is, because we're dying all the time. So then what happens is that at the end of times, with no way to fix it, you're going to say, life is dog shit. This week, my sister wrote to me, the one that lives here, and visited me last year. She went to visit my mother in Argentina, in Entre Rios, very old. They take care of her because she has been losing her capacity of being able to take care of herself. And there comes a point in which she told Leslie, sent us pictures of my mom, told Leslie she's like in a wheelchair, that the firstborn daughter went, she's the firstborn, Vivian was born, and then 2 years later Cynthia, that died already because she got the vacuum cleaners. It's not her fault. Before blaming her because of that idiot, no. It's because of believing God. The other one is, then I come afterwards. So Vivian is 4 years older, went to visit my mom, and said, "Hey, Mom," or whatever. My mom looked at her, couldn't recognize her. She said, "Oh, what a cute girl," couldn't recognize her. I know that things that are more painful may happen to you, but this is what I'm living within my lineage. I can't believe it. The degradation of human beings, that a mother cannot recognize her daughter. That is way past of my capacity of reasoning, that anybody can think that God is love. Because what happens to my mom, God is to blame for. Because the serpent that bit us and gave us that mortal poison, that degradation of the flesh, of the mind, of the brain, of the spirit, is God. It is God. He said, "And you shall die, and you will go back to the ground from whence you came." But if there's something that I like of Genesis chapter 3, I like the promise that he tells the woman. To the serpent, he says, "You will strike her calf." He's talking about a poisonous snake, obviously. Those that are not poisonous don't hurt you at all. If she strikes you in the calf, it's because she will inject you with poison. It says, "But you will crush her head." That is the most beautiful part of Genesis chapter 3 of all the rest. Why? Because the serpent is Yahweh. The one that bit us is Yahweh. There's no Satan that came to bite us. There's no Satan that comes to bite us. Satan did not bite us. Death was not in Satan. Satan did not curse us. Because the figure of a Satan identified as an individual exists. It's not an angel. It's not the best of the angels. It's no one. Satan is Yahweh. It is our enemy. Satan is. It is God and our enemy at the same time. Our creator and our assassin. So then the figure of the woman, which is bit by the serpent, by Yahweh, in the curse that he gives us, bites us and curses us, and we take the poison of Yahweh, all of us do, our children, our parents, all of us, there comes a point in which the woman crushes the head of Yahweh. If you don't understand that, then you have not understood the message of the eternal truth. No one can understand that. The Bible is concealed. The Bible tells you, because Yahweh wants that. In what sense do we crush the head of Yahweh? That we take his dominion off of us forever. That's the way it is. The woman is left with life, a symbolic woman that is, in that aspect, which represents us, is left with life, and it's part of the race of the human, of the woman, which are we, return the favor to Yahweh, which is what we did last year in Yom Kippur. All of your dog shit, your venom, Yahweh, goes upon you, upon your head. That is what you call to crush the head of the serpent and to tell him, we don't want you to live with us anymore and to dominate us. That's part of the prophecy. I'm not saying it. He says it. In other words, the Bible. The scripture says it. You don't believe it? Then read it until you understand it. It says that the woman is bitten by the serpent, but the woman has enough strength to crush the head of the serpent. Let's see how they say in this Spanish DHH. Genesis chapter 3. Genesis chapter 3. It says, then God, it's all an act, right? Then God, the Lord said unto the serpent, he told himself, he's speaking because he separated them from the character. For this that you have done, you will be accursed amongst all the rest of the animals. There it is, accursed, amongst all the beasts, she curses them all. From here on out, you will drag yourself on the ground and eat dust. I will make that you and the woman are enemies. The same thing as your descendants and your descendants, your seed afterwards. Your seed. Wait a minute. What is the seed of the serpent? What is it? Because if you doubt of what I'm teaching here today, then I'll ask you, what is the descendants of the woman of the serpent? Which is it? Which is the descendants of the seed of the serpent? The seed of the serpent is Israel. Israel had more children, which is the Christianity. Another descendants of the serpent is Islam, or the Muslim, is the direct descendants. The direct descendants, Israel, and the Muslims. And the granddaughter is Christianity. In other words, all of her children. Those are her children, and her children that are serpents. What did he say to Israel? You're all serpents. Read how the Messiah calls Israel, of which he was the serpent. He says, your father is a serpent, it's an assassin, it's a liar, and you are all serpents. Of course, it is the race of the serpent, Israel. The Muslims and the Christians, they're all serpents. What is the descendants and the seed of the woman? Is the one that crushes the head of the serpents, all of them. The father of the serpents, and then all the little daughter serpents. What does that mean? That he dominates with the serpents, with Judaism, with Christianity, with the Muslims, and it ends with the father and serpent, the major serpent, Yahweh. That is the woman. So then it says, I will make for you and the woman be enemies. Yeah, very much friendly with the Christians and the Muslims. But with the rest, we're not so much of a friends, just like your seed and your seed. Your seed will crush your head. Whose head? Whose seed? The woman's seed. The seed of the woman's talking about the serpent. The seed of the woman will crush your head. And you will strike her heel. In other words, she strikes her heel evidently after crushing her head. It's not that he crushes and then bites. It's obvious. Obviously, it is very easy to understand once you understand all of the Bible as a whole. Because this is like medicine. You can't just study one organ individually, like what the medicine does now, an individual organ, taking out completely out everything else. You can't. And if you can, then you'll have all wrong conclusions. Because why does this happen or that happen or something stop working? You're going to get all wrong conclusions. What is the reason? They're going to say it's the organ. No, it's not the organ. It's not the organ. So then it's smoking. No, it's not smoking. It's not smoking. Then it's what do I know? The chemicals in the food. No, not that either. Not that either. There's something else that they cause the organ to grow, to stop working, to ruin itself and die. Who sends the command? There is another organ that sends that command. It is the brain. The brain doesn't do that connection. It is the organ, they say. Same thing as the Bible. When you read the Bible, or a portion thereof, you don't understand the brain that is Yahweh. You're not going to understand the thing. Because the brain that is Yahweh is one. Satan does not exist, not a Holy Spirit, not a son of the Holy Spirit. That is divine. So then all the rest is related with the brain, the only one, and his spirit. If you don't understand that, then you'll be like those who study the organ and they don't have a fucking idea what takes place. So then you get the specialists. They can't do anything. And then the doctors in religion, they come and they don't know dog shit about anything. You have to understand the Bible as a whole, just like the Bible as a whole. If you can see that and understand it, then thou art blessed. You can bless yourself if you understand it. If you don't understand that, then the descendants of the woman has a job to do with you, which is to crush your head. What does it mean to crush your head? It is to take you out of the lies. It's to change everything that you know. And someday, he'll crush your head. Invitational text. Matthew 25:31 through 32 says, When the Son of Man cometh in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit in his throne of glory, and they shall be gathered before him all the nations. And he shall set apart one from the other, as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. And he shall set the goats on his right hand side, and the sheep on his right, the goats on the left, sheep on the right. But I have a question that I have to answer. Let me see if I have it here. Where is the question? Where is it? Oh yeah, let's see. Here it is. A question which they asked me, not so that I say it in public, but I'll answer it publicly, anonymously. Let's see. Okay. Checking. I'm checking to see if we have any likes or not. We have 171 likes. Tell the truth, I could give a fuck if you give a like or not. That's the truth. I gave you the opportunity of doing so. It's a nice gesture that you're thinking for something of the information that has no price of what I'm giving you. It's a nice gesture on your behalf of giving a like so that you become thankful when you receive things that are positive in your life, which is information. That is why it's not that I need your likes. And it's also not that, oh, I need for more people to look at these videos. I could care less. How many people look at these videos? I could care less. You understand it, watch it, that's perfect. You have the privilege of seeing these videos, then blessed art thou because I'm blessing you. You don't have the privilege of watching this video, then you didn't have to. You just didn't have to watch them. It's not that I'm asking, just like all the ones in YouTube. You say, please give us a like, give us a like. So that more people watch it. I could give a fuck. If they're not even monetized. I just do, with my friends, my lineage, that appreciate what they receive. They understand this message, and generously, they help us. That is what I appreciate. And they'll have the reward in something that you cannot even imagine, just like that. That's what I'm telling you. If you want to give us a like, then you give us a like. And if you don't like it, don't give us a like. There's no need for you to watch it either. But if you're watching and you like it, then give us the like. So then going back, where were we? Right here. The question is as follows. Hello, Chris. It's many questions. Hello, Chris. Brotherly greetings. I've been very shocked. It's been a process of years. It's not abysmally strange that we would get to the conclusions that it is necessary to curse God for all the evil he's done. But if we declare ourselves his direct opposition, what is the difference of the ancient opponents like Nimrod and the Philistines and enemies of Yahweh? Well, Yahweh never had enemies. Let's start there. I can answer this in many ways. We are not enemies of Yahweh because we want to be enemies of Yahweh. Yahweh prophesied in his book that someone would rise up in favor of humanity and in favor of justice. We are not enemies of Yahweh because it just came to mind. Because we're unhappy. No, we're not enemies because of that. Not because we want to gain land from him and fight him. No. If this whole earth, he himself, would not have prophesied that it would be given to his son or his heir, then we would not be fighting for anything, nor would we try to do anything, because it doesn't belong to us. It just doesn't belong to us. It belongs to the Son of Yahweh or whomever he wants to give it to. But it doesn't belong to us. We don't want to steal it from anyone. We don't want to usurp anyone's territory like Israel does with Gaza, like Israel's done in the whole of history with Jericho and Canaan, that it wasn't theirs. They would go usurp, destroy, and kill, and take the loot, and take a possession that is way far from what we're thinking. It doesn't exist in us. So then, we're not comparing ourselves with any enemy of Yahweh, which he never had enemies. Yahweh has no enemies. He made you believe in the Bible that he has enemies. Yahweh has no enemies. Mention one sole enemy of Yahweh. He has no enemies. They were all servants of Yahweh, or people that didn't know Yahweh. But enemies, in order for you to have an enemy, he has to know you and you have to give your face. How many times did Yahweh show his face to human beings? The Bible says that no one, never anyone has seen God. If no one has seen God, how could he have an enemy that doesn't live on earth, that doesn't live in the physical plane of theirs? How's he going to have an enemy? An enemy is somebody that wants to hurt you. Is there any human being that dares to do any harm to God? God has no enemies. God has slaves, and they're all his slaves. Consciously so or unconsciously so. Enemies? None. Not that they love him, not that either. Because the people, it is a lie that they love him. They fear him. They invented a word, the fear of Yahweh. It is a lie that they love him. There's no one that can love a person that they don't know. Not even at the level, at a platonic level. Because what God is for every human being, it is an invention of his own brain. Because I can say God exists, and who's God? I want to see him. If you believe it by faith, that a superior being that is called God exists, that he made and created Adam and Eve, and you read the Bible, and he did this and that, he's shown prophets, you never saw him or heard him. You read it in a book that was written thousands of years ago. How can you develop any love towards a being that you've never seen, that you've never heard, that you don't know his voice? You've read it in a book that's been written thousands of years ago, and you're in love with that person. You're an idiot. That's a lie. It's absolutely a lie. There's no human that's in love with God. What there is fear. Every religion works with fear. Every religion says, if you don't do this or that, and if you do this, that or that, then you will not have salvation. You have to do this, and that, and that. So then the people, they sing songs, they fall in love of themselves, of their imagination, of what they believe God is, of what they imagine that God is in their mind. That is what they fall in love with. If God were to show up, no one knows him. Because there's no one in love of God. There's not one soul human in love of God. No one knows him. If God were to walk like he is here, the Christians, or he would enter into a church, the Christians would enter and saying, oh, God, God. He says, and who's this God? If they would see it in a figure that we get to, that it's give or take, that's normal, like a human beings, like the people imagine before. No, just a normal person. People are going to say, this is God? No. Who's that? Take him out of the church. And if they ask him, are you a Christian? He says, no, I'm not a Christian. What do? They kick him out. So then there's no one in love with God. Stupid, idiot Christians, even less. They don't even know his name. And if they know him, they can't even pronounce it. Hashem. Who is Hashem for them? If you were to study Judaism, like I've studied lots of Judaism, and the more you go into Judaism, you'll understand that in Judaism, God has no body. God does not exist as a person. He's just a force. When the Jews teach that we were created in the image of God, God has no eyes, no heart, no body. God cannot be seen because he's an energy. That is what pure Judaism is. God is not a person. That is why no one can see him. No one can see him. He can take the body of a person. He can look like a person, that like he appeared into a person, like he appeared into Moses or the rest, but that's not God. God cannot be seen because he's an energy. That is what Judaism teaches. That is what Judaism teaches. So then who could be in love of an energy? No one. The Jewish people, you know whom they're in love with? I'll tell you. You know whom they are in love with? I'll tell you. Anyone know? Does anyone know? We want the Mashiach now. They don't want, we want Hashem now. They want the Mashiach. They're in love of what they believe that Messiah is, and that's what they're waiting for every year. They want the Messiah, not God. They know they'll never see God. They know that God will never come to earth. They know that God is not a person. Or else I'll inform you, just in case. They're not in love with God. They're in love of the Messiah, which will be better for them. The Christians, whom are they in love with? The Word tells you of Jesus, of Christ, not of the Father. The Father is terrible, and the Holy Spirit is invisible. It is just a servant of Christ. He's the helper. He is the advocate, the intercessor. Because since God is not there, the Holy Spirit intercedes for them. But they don't love the Holy Spirit. They love the Christ, the figure of Christ. You get the figure of the Holy Spirit in the churches? No, well, there could be some dove somewhere, but who is the central figure? A cross, a Christ. They're in love with the Father. They want to see the Father. They don't want to see the Father. They're terrified of the Father. They want to see the Father, but Christ amongst them, because they're so sinful and feel so sinful that the Son has to be there because the Father will kill them. They know this. So they're not in love of the Father, they're in love of the Christ. So then every religion has falling in love with something, but it's fictitious. Now, individual, every Christian, the Christ that they imagine is different. One Christ from another. My Christ was different to your Christ. Very different. So I would understand in many books. I would read of Ellen G. White and all the rest. I would read the Christ that was drawn right there, and I thought that was the Christ that was come. And I would see him walking around. He had to look like that guy. That was a Christ. That was a Christ. And that's how we have different versions. We have the black Christ. Some say that he's black. So then there are many different versions. Which was your version? Whichever you had. Of God, no one has ever been in love, not because the text says that you shall love God with all your strength. Is the people going to love him? In fact, if a text exists like that, it is a commandment that the people will not love him. If Paul says, when I read to not covet, all types of covet arose in me. That is how humans are. And if I read a text that says, thou shalt love God with all your heart, the first thing that is born in any human being before the threat and obligation of doing something, it is a rejection. So then I read the text, ye shall love the Lord with all your heart and all your strength. The first thing that comes to mind is not to love him. And then afterwards, it's like, well, okay, that's fine. There's no other option. Well, what do we have to do? Oh, well. In order to not to go where? In order to not burn where? Oh, well. You start to say, well, I love God, I love God. You don't love anyone. They love an image that everyone formed of God, but not God. No one has seen God. No one has ever seen God. So then you cannot love someone that you don't see. You can't love it. You cannot love a person that you never knew. You can't love it. You can have a confusion in your mind that maybe you love it. That's not love. No one loves God. Like I've just told you, no one loves God. No one loves Christ. No one loves anyone. Except people that you see. Real people that you can develop love for. Real things like a club, like Boca, you can develop love. Sports, you can develop love. But for something that you've never seen and that you didn't know the way it is, cannot even imagine the way it is because no one has ever seen nor can describe it, there's no love that exists for that. There's fear. Fear. Also, people are afraid of little bugs that do not exist. They're afraid of the rock band in Argentina called Virus. You remember from the 80s? I'm not talking about medicine here, mind you, okay? I don't know anything about that. I'm calling about the rock band called Virus. I recommend it. It's spectacular. Moda died of AIDS because of HIV. How terrible. How terrible. And I'm sure he died because of the remedies that were way too powerful, even more powerful than the bug itself. Like what happened to Freddy, and oh well. What are we gonna do? If it's your time, it's your time. So then I'll continue to answer these questions. But how terrible, I don't know if I told you the story of my mom. Terrible for a mom that gave us love, cared, brought us up. That part of the personality that I have was made by her, and there comes a point in which you lose the memory thereof. You lose the memory, and you lose everything. What is left behind that woman? What is left? What is left? If there's no memory. To not recognize her own children, can there be anything more sad in the world when we sing the Argentinian hymn that says, "Crowned with glory, let us live," or we swear, like the hymn says, or let us swear, with glory to die. Do you know what those lyrics say? It says, and do you know what it means? Let's swear with glory to die. Because maybe you listen to it and you never stop to think, what is it really saying, the lyrics? Crowned with glory to live, or we swear with glory to die. Because we could repeat it just like something nice. Let's crown with glory and swear with glory to die. What is it referring to, though? It's referring to only one subject, liberty. Liberty. Crowned with glory to live, it is what we achieve, the independence thereof, and the liberty. We shall defend it with our life. We're not going to live subjugated like slaves, nor depending on another country or to lose our liberty. If we are about to lose what we have achieved, we would rather die with glory. What does that mean, though? It's not to die of sickness or of old age. It means to die fighting. The only way of dying with glory is to die fighting. You cannot die with glory on a deathbed. On an accident, you don't die with glory. A suicide is not dying with glory either. The only glory that is required, I'll tell you what the hymn is referring to. If someone threatens with taking our liberty away that we have acquired with this glory that we have, we swear that we shall die fighting till the end. As long as no one wants to take away our liberty, we may die without glory. Of old age, sickness, accidents. But when, before the threat of losing the glory we obtained with liberty, we're going to die with glory, which means we're going to die fighting. That is what it means to die with glory. I look at my mom, and what a degradation. That's tremendous that Yahweh has subjugated us to, because it's no longer just dying, and not the very least with glory, but it is to die with such a lowness that's humiliating, which takes to the terrifying side of a completely irrational God, of making us lose our memory. People super intelligent, and I look at my mom. And I say, that's going to be me. I'm 56 years old now. I'm in the peak, or I'm still not in the peak of wisdom. I've already been past the stupidity of youth. I'm already past it. I'm in the absolute wisdom now. And wisdom takes you to depending on what those who speak Generally, those who use their head a lot, they maintain their muscle of the brain working more than other people that work with other parts of the body. They keep their brain, they can get 70, 80. Look at the president we have. It's like my mom, almost as old. Almost the age of my mom. But since he's a president, but there comes a point like Biden, where Biden would already start, he would need 1 gram before getting to the kilo. Look, Biden was a great orator. And then later, now that he was older, how terrible. Netanyahu is already close to that too. He hasn't lost the desire of looting. He has lots of testosterone still. Because when you're old, but not these guys. What do they take, these sons of bitches? These are not the good old grandpas. I want to take everything that I can before I die. What sons of bitches, really? But to lose the memory, how terrible. What a terrible punishment. How is it that when I speak with my mom and then tell her all the story of the stupidities that she believed in, because they deceived her, and when she says, oh, only lies was what I was told by these sons of bitches, yes, mom. Complete lie. Ever since she was little, my dad was a pastor, yes, he was also deceived. Now, hold on, now that we resurrect him, we're going to have to tell him the same story. Maybe I give you the privilege, since he knows you more than me, to introduce him to the truth, because look, it's going to take some time to introduce him. It took you quite a bit of time, and in some of you are still kind of hard-headed, and you don't understand it all that well, but we're going to introduce my mom to the truth. And so then, when she says, it was all a lie, yes, mom, it was all a lie. It was all a lie. Yes, everything was all a lie. So then, what hurt me at the end and let me so old and took my husband away, because he worked for him. Yes, mom, it was him. The very same. You're referring to the boss, right? The only one. There's no Christ there. There's no Holy Spirit. The only Christ there is Christian, not Christ. You even named me correctly. Now the other one was the evil one. So then there was no Christ, no Holy Spirit, no Satan, no demons. It was him. And when she says, and he took out my husband, yes, he did. But oh well, your husband, even if he was a good man, he was his voice. He would pray for him. He would earn souls for him. Look, we all have to blame. We're deceived, but we're deceivers because we work for the other. Like those of the white robe, he says, I work for Pharmakeia. Yes, he does. You're not going to free yourself so easily. I'll forgive everything for you. But you work for Pharmakeia, son of a bitch. You were poking people around. What do the pastors do? They poke around, you sons of bitches. It's more as those that say, I'm not going to the churches, but the pastors are the ones that inject the poison of Christ. Obviously, they're all forgivable, but they have pretty much of a participation in the deceit. You understand what I'm saying? They participate in the deceit. But when both of them tell me, and I work for whom? My dad's going to say, I worked for whom? Yeah, for that guy. That's whom you worked for. The one you would kneel to, and you would obligate us to kneel to. And at the end of it all, whom did you love? Love Jesus, but he doesn't exist. What? Yeah, he doesn't exist. So what's going to happen with them too? Just an example. When I explain to them, and when they comprehend the condition they had, it is his fault. Do you think they're going to want to know him quickly and want to say, I want to know my God, the Creator? You think it's going to come from their heart to say, yes, glory be to God? If they say that, then a slap in the face and back to sleep a bit. If they say, glory to God, but hold on, you didn't understand what I'm saying. Let's start from the very beginning. There's no Satan. The one that got you sick was him. The one that killed you was him. The one that took your memory away was him. The one that made you senile was him. It was all him. And to top it off, you worked for him, deceiving. And then afterwards, the devil ill pays those work for him. That's why they ended up the way they did. And it's the same thing as all the prophets. Okay, don't worry about it. Starting with Moses. So in the same condition as you, don't think that, no, they're the same thing as you. You have to wake them up, you got to explain to them all those things. Now, when the whole world understands this, Yahweh says, pardon me, but I'm out of here. Been out of here for 1,000 years to explain to them everything. 1,000 years when all of humanity is recuperated and the human race understands what justice is, and they have no need of stealing or killing or working with the sweat of the brow. They're gonna, little by little, gonna lose their anger. And maybe if the government is benevolent and they say give or take, and said, well, let's present to them our God Creator. We want to know Him. We want to know our God Creator. It's like if I'm driving, let's suppose I'm driving latest Ford, and then Henry Ford is resurrected, and I thank him for the car that I'm driving now. No, I'm driving a Ford, but you didn't teach me that. The one that I'm driving, you designed one that was the 4A and 4T, and we stopped there. In Uruguay, they would call them cachilas. In Uruguay, they would call them cachilas is the 4A and the 4Ts, those old cars. In Uruguay, cachilas in Argentina, I think it's a bird. You know what those are? What I'm referring to? The first Ford in history, a Ford A, and then the 4T. Or backwards, I don't know, something. I don't know, the T first or the A first, something like that. 4T and 4A. Is those little square cars, the first Fords in history in Uruguay, which there was still driving around in Uruguay. When I was in Uruguay, we'd call them cachilas. An old car, yes, in Uruguay, cachilas. So then, let's suppose that Henry Ford comes along and says, look at the car that I'm driving. There's a car, wait, I forgot the name now. Must be the H. That's a special Ford F, it's the F-150, is that it? No. It's a car that won the Le Mans. What's it called? It was very recent. It's the Ford Super Sport, Hyper Sport, that won the Le Mans when they made it in the year 70. And now they had a different edition that they stopped doing it. We're talking about a car that is worth more than $1 million. The Ford F. Was it an F? Oh, I can't remember the name. Say Ford Supercar. Ford GT. Yeah, the Ford GT. The Ford GT. The Ford GT or GT. The GT40, I think it's GT40. Ford GT or GT40 is a car that's ultra expensive. You don't see that in the streets. It's more expensive than a Ferrari because of the car. You no longer make it, but it's been some years ago. It's spectacular, the car is. Let's suppose that I have that car. Let's suppose. So then Henry Ford comes around and says, that car is one of mine. No, you didn't make that. It's called the Ford. Yes, it's called the Ford. But you didn't make that. You made the company. But this car is a work of art next to what you did. Which based on what you did, the company grew and the engineers evolved. And we learned many things, and then we have a different product, dear Henry. Well, that's how it's going to be with Yahweh. The product that we're going to make is not the primitive dog shit earth of this that is filled with curses that has been accursed. No, the product. That's why when the people see the creator, it'll be the original creator, but the creator sees the new world is the Messiah. Let's see if you understand what I just said. The original creator of humans is Yahweh, whatever his name is. It's the creator. But when he hands over to the Messiah what he created, and to leave the company, and to give power to continue to grow, not to just be the owner, but creative power, or else he can't be God. Or else he would be a human owner only. The world is filled with that already, but rather a creative owner with his power. When he comes back, he doesn't come back to his creation. He comes back to the creation of the Messiah. You have to process that. That's what I've just said. If Henry Ford rises, which bears the name Ford, which he created the company Ford, if he looks at a GT40, he's going to say, I cannot believe what you're creating in my name. It was not even in my imagination what you created, and not just that, how the company grew. How is the form of making the cars, the technology, that he could not believe. Well, the same thing happens with Yahweh. The same thing will happen with Yahweh. Actually, the Messiah is a God, because he's a God creator of the new world. He starts to create it. For example, the US of A was a new country, never before seen, created anew with a different mentality through the Constitution. Well, that is when you create something in the new world. It is a world created by the Messiah, not created by God. It's not a world that's better, with a better face, reconstructed, of old age. No, it is new heavens and a new earth. New earth. New heavens and a new earth. Who creates that? The Messiah. Because everything that he's going to do will be renewed. The earth will be a lot bigger. So then it's no longer just inherited God. He inherits the earth as it is. That's how he inherits it. He recreates the earth. So it's not just a God that inherits, but it's a God creator also. Very well. So then, answering these questions, it says, is it, okay, I'll read this again. It says, isn't it abysmally strange that we would get to the strange conclusion that it is necessary to curse God for the decisions that he did? But if we become his direct opposition, what makes us differ from the old opposition, which was Nimrod and the enemies of Yahweh? I've answered you. Yahweh has no enemies. He's never had enemies. Both Nimrod as all the rest, they were faithful servants of Yahweh. That's first of all. Now, he declared them his enemies to make war against them and do whatever he wanted. It is very easy to say, oh, these are my enemies, like Netanyahu does. Same technique. He says, oh, these are my enemies. Their children are going to grow up, they're going to kill us. Let's liquidate everything. Let's cleanse with everything. There it is. Who declared them enemies? He did. So then, every enemy of God declared in the Bible, it is the declaration of God. Who wrote this book? God. It's his inspiration. So then all of his useless servants that wrote this book, of course they're going to say, oh, this is an enemy of God. He's an enemy of God. Either you're with God or you're his enemy. So then I'm still speaking to the one that asked me this. You have not changed your way of understanding that God is everything. He has no enemies. The real enemy of God now, if you want to know who the enemy is, it's the Messiah, which is not an enemy, it's the Son. What he wants is for him to give him the kingdom and to leave. That's not an enemy. We don't want to destroy God. We're not his enemies, we're his sons. And what we want is, hey, fulfill your word. You're our creator, fulfill your word, do this, and let us work. That's what we want. It's not that we're his enemies. We're not trying to war with him. We want him to fulfill his word, not to war against God. So God never had enemies. He can't have enemies. So then this question is completely incorrectly made from the very beginning if you understand that God has no enemies. And if you compare us with Nimrod, if you compare us with the ancient Philistines and the enemies of Yahweh in the Bible, so then you don't understand who we are. It's not understood who we are. So then, and aside from the fact that the era that we live in, we don't even live in the era of Nimrod. And if you read Nimrod in the Bible, it is because Yahweh raised him to be to do a specific task, or else Nimrod would not exist. He rose him to make it believe that he had a visible enemy. That's the way it is. As the same as the rest of the nations and all the rest. Very well. Second question. Is God a masochist because of creating a wife that would abhor him after noticing his deceit? Okay, let's begin. I made a mistake in an interpretation. And it's not that I made a mistake. We come from complete deceit, and as it goes up in steps, you take out lies and lies and lies, and your assumption to the truth doesn't mean that you've taken out all the lies. And I actually believed that God promised that we were his wife, and actually we're not his wife. I'm not going to explain that today. Today's not the subject for that. I will talk about it, but we're not his bride. It is an equivocation to think we're his bride. Adam and Eve do not represent God, and his bride represent something else, which is not today's subject. It is marvelous, mind-blowing, maybe other breaking points of some that says, "No, this is as far as I go. I'm out of here." It could be. It could be that some say, "No, this is way too much. This is way too much. Way too much." No, we've never been his bride, and we're not going to be his bride. Every time that I made this series, the bride of Yahweh, the bride of Yeshua, the bride of Yeshua is something else. It's something else. It is a complex subject. The bride of Yahweh is not the wife of Yahweh. The bride of Yeshua is the bride of the Messiah, not of Yahweh. We do identify him as Yeshua the Messiah, not Yeshua Yahweh, the Creator. Okay, taking that out. So then, answering the question, God didn't create any bride. The only bride that he said it was his bride was Israel. Israel said that it was his bride, that he created her, and he married his bride. And then they divorced that bride, and that's it, it's over. It's over. And we've already seen it. The bride of the kingdom. Bride of the kingdom. For now. It is Babylon. The prostitute of Revelation is his bride. That's the bride of Yahweh. He doesn't deserve another. That's the bride he got. That is the prostitute that takes the cup, that he does the fornication with all the kings of the earth and the nations. That is the bride of Yahweh, the real bride of Yahweh, that he divorced, but is still his bride. That bride that has a cup in his hand, it says she fornicates, the bride of Yahweh fornicates with every king of the earth, with all the nations. That's the bride of Yahweh. And it's always been so. It's always been so. It's shocking, maybe. The truth is always shocking. That prostitute that rules over all the earth, that's the bride of Yahweh. We don't want, not even for him to get divorced. We could care less. I'm just playing. We want to recuperate that lady and to take out all the lies from her head. But in the symbol, we will not ever be the bride of Yahweh. So then, the question, I think I've been answering it. Is God a masochist because he created a bride that would abhor him after noticing his deceit? And if the Bible would already seem like an ancient constitution of curses to enslave us, with what book will we guide ourselves for a new constitution? Well, this is already a different question. The question about the bride of Yahweh, I've answered already. Bride of Yahweh is Israel, which is the prostitute of Revelation 17. Very well. Taking that out. Now the next question, which he asked, just like that, like a machine gun. If the Bible are all deceits, what is a better book that we may base ourselves? There's no other book. I've already explained this. If you that is asking me these things were paying attention to what I speak and would review the subjects, because maybe I say many things that you have to listen to them many times. I understand. Maybe you don't want to listen to me many times, but many times to understand what I'm saying. If you to understand it once and for all, you wouldn't be asking me this. I said there's no other book in all of the history of the earth that is good for us to tell anything about God except the Bible. There's nothing. Absolutely, there's nothing. About God, nothing. About history, I don't believe anyone. Because the history is written by those who win. That's it, it's over. The victorious people are the ones that write the history. So then how many read history and take it as real that 6 million people died if they were the victorious ones? You can't believe it. There's no history because it's written by the victorious one. Of course they're going to write whatever they want. So then, answering your question, there is no book, none whatsoever, not discovered, not unknown, not about to be discovered or to be known, that tells us the truth about this world. It doesn't exist. It is the Bible or nothing. That is my vision. If you believe that certain books, certain scrolls were brought from wherever, from Babylon here or there, if that gives you information, well then go with them. I'm not going to go with them. I'm not even going to read them. I could care less. The Bible, for me, I find it so fantastic. Just as deceitful, I find it so fantastic. You can't, for me, there can't be any more fantastic book and incredibly written, marvelously written, mastermind, hallucinating, intelligent, the writer of the Bible, because he deceives everyone and they don't even notice, but I read a different message there. For that very reason, I find that the book is number one, the only one for human beings. There's no other book that clarifies anything. I don't want them to clarify anything, because if the book comes commenting the Bible, stupid idiots commented that believe the cover and they read the cover. I want the Bible the most authentically as possible, and I find it to be a book that's so fascinating, incredible. I mean, it's pure gold. It's the only thing we've got, pure gold. And if I call it dog shit, you understand in what sense I'm saying that it's dog shit. But in the sense of value, this book is the only one that's worth anything. The only one. It's got no price. It's priceless. There's a reason why the Creator left it behind, right? So then with what book? Well, we got ourselves for a new constitution. I don't need a book. I don't need any book. Could you read the book of Happy World of Aldous Huxley? I have heard of that book, A Happy World of Aldous Huxley. I had heard about it. Now that you mention it, this morning, as I was reading it, Here, I bought it from Amazon. It's in Spanish. I bought it. I could read it in English, but I don't enjoy it in English. I think it's a dog shit language. I don't enjoy it. I just don't enjoy it. Angelina and Brian, they love it in English. I don't enjoy it. I read it. I understand it all. I don't enjoy it. It's like I'm eating a fruit that is bitter, that's bland, no taste. Can I eat it? Yes, I can. Is it gonna? Am I gonna get sick? No, it's dog shit. It's like getting a. It's like plastic apple, and I have to eat it. I'll eat it. That's fine. That's what English is for me. Now to eat an exquisite, extra crispy and sweet apple. That's Spanish. Spanish is the best language that God has designed. It is the most perfect of them all. It's also dog shit, of course, with all the hidden words and the programming that it has. That's clear. But the way it sounds, the way it is expressed in the maximum point, the orgasm of the Spanish language is the Argentinian accent. The rest, forget about it. Just like that, forget about it. Just like that, the Spanish was so that Argentina would get together and make the Rio Platense accent that's spectacular. Very well. Maybe some don't agree. That's the way it is. In fact, you enjoy the way I speak. What if I were to speak to you with a different accent? I'm not going to name countries so they're going to get offended over here and over there. If I could imitate you, but you're going to get offended, you're going to know where it's from, so that I'm not going to say anything. In Argentina is enjoyed, well, with the Argentinian emotion, it's not just the way of speaking, it is the emotion, very well. Taking that out. The book, A Happy World. Does anybody know that book? A Happy World? Do you know it or not? Have you read it? I bought it. Because they're asking me here, could you read the thing? You know why I bought it? I'm going to read a phrase of the book. I said, wow, I like what it says in what the author says. That's why I bought it. Could you read the book of A Happy World of Aldous Huxley and take some teachings from there to create a new form of a new ideal world? Because if we don't guide ourselves with the laws of the Bible, you have already made it obsolete, for it has been abolished as Yahweh died here on earth. So then, if we are going to be the Son of Man, we'll have to have good basis for a government. And it's not that I want merit for recommending a book or something like that, but if we are not held in as accountable as your followers, who do you take into account? What I've just read, you see, it's not Argentinian, the one that said this. A brave new world? A brave new world? A brave new world, like Iron Maiden's song, A Brave New World. I translated it from what I read in Spanish. Right, of course. A brave new world is not a happy world. It's not a happy world, as they translate it in Spanish. It doesn't. A brave new world, it could be a very difficult way of living. There's no book that says happy world. There's none? None? Well, why did this sons of bitches translated it so badly? How would you translate a brave new world? It's not a new brave, a brave new world. It's like hard. No, English is dog shit. And sometimes you don't know what the fuck it's trying to say. Brave could be, it could be hard also. Valiant. How would you translate it into Spanish? It's a novel, yes. I bought it, but they translated the title like this. We're already messed up right there.
Envisioning a future world where technology, conditioning, and a richly castle system control every aspect of human life.
Oh, so it's an ultra controlling world. That's why it's a brave new world. Right. A new world order, but that's hard. It's not brave of being brave, like valiant. Right, right. The world. Translate the Iron Maiden's lyrics in A Brave New World, and it should speak about it. Well, the thing is that I bought it already. We'll see what it says. So then they're telling me, let's see if you can get a way of a new government that's ideal from it. So then, if we're going to be the Son of Man, we'll have to have good basis for a government. And it's not that I want marriage to recommend a book like that, but if it's not, we're not taking into account as your followers, whom do you take into account? You know, he says vos. He's not Argentinian. We usually use it in the forward. We say boss first, which is the Argentinian you. That's fine. I like you to use it with boss. Well, in something that is not easy to assimilate, everything that has been preached in the last days, I believe that it's way too much for the mind. I know that I've been deceived by the divine providence. Yes, you've been completely deceived. You know that this was written to me by a person that I appreciate a lot, and that comes with us from before. I'm sure that it comes with us from before we had the name of the eternal truth. That's with that I said everything, and I'm not going to say anything else. The person writing me this, right? The person that wrote this to me was with us before the eternal truth existed as the name, the eternal truth. That's all I have to tell you, but since you don't even know who it might be. So then I hope I've answered these questions correctly to your satisfaction, because I appreciate you. And I'm going to read a fragment of the book, which was what I said, it's a novel. Let's go ahead and read it. It's a novel. Okay, here goes the fragment. A man grows old. He feels that radical sensation within himself of weakness, of fatigue, that accompanies advanced old age. And if I understand this, I imagine that simply I'm sick. Deceives his fears with the idea that his unfavorable state obeys to a particular cause, of which, as of a sickness, he hopes to remake himself. What an imagination. This sickness is old age. It is a terrible sickness. They say that fear of death and what follows death is what induces man to hand themselves over to religion when they grow old. But my own experience has convinced me that aside from such terrors and imaginations, the religious sentiment tends to develop itself in the measure that the imagination and the senses are excited less, and they're less excitable, whether there are less obstacles in their labor. It is seen less vexed by tears. The desires and distractions in which they used to absorb themselves, whereby God emerges as from behind a cloud, our soul feels, sees, turns back to the fountain of all light. It becomes inevitably torture, because now that everything that it used to give to the world of sensations, his life and enchantment, has been drawn away from us, now that the phenomenal existence is no longer finding support in internal impressions. It gives us the need of finding support in something, in an absolute truth that cannot perish. Yes, inevitably we turn to God. Because this religious feeling, it is by nature so pure, so delicious for the soul, which we experience it, and it compensates of all the other losses. Now, I liked what this man says. This man says, man, when he grows old, and he starts to see himself as old, he starts to say, this is a sickness that'll pass. And honestly, it's not going to pass because we have a poison inside that is prolonged, with which the serpent bit us. But we're going to cut the head off the serpent. Now, this man says, there comes a point where one says yes. So then I'm going to die. This is not a sickness. I believe it's a sickness that'll be cured, but this will never be cured. My youth has already been cured, and this is not going to be cured. Is the only cure of old age is death. That's the only cure, death. What does man do then? Because of fear, he turns to God. Because the things of the world that would attract him, that he had lights, excitement, that he liked, doesn't produce any excitement anymore. He sees them as stupid. Before, which he loved to do this and that, he can't do it anymore. When he used to make goals and Chilean type goals, now he just, if he's lucky, he'll hit the post. It's product of the age. There's no cure. He would score in any other way. Now he can't even score it unless it just by luck that it bounces off somebody and goes in, that it's the age. We don't want to accept that it's the age. We think that there's a cure for that, and that all of a sudden you're going to be a great goal maker, and to make more than 600 goals. And no, that's not it. The age is gone until the Messiah comes, and once again he gives you youth and you can make goals again. There you will, but not now. It's a brutal sickness. So then when you're older, you lose the emotion. And what I was saying in the beginning, I have no longer see life as the half full glass. For me, it's half empty, not almost completely empty. I want to kick it to fuck off. Why? Because once you understand the process of this life, you get, inevitably so, sooner or later, to understand what Solomon wrote, which says, what good is for a man to live until 2,000 years? What good is it? What good is it? He's going to die anyway. And when he dies, actually, not even he knows or anyone if his life leaves like the animals, upwards or downwards. That's what the Bible says. Man doesn't know where his life goes, upward, downward. We don't know. We don't know anything. It's all dog shit. That's what Solomon says. It's all dog shit. And now, where will I find it? Where does it say? Can you look it up? Let me know, Leslie, where it says, where Solomon says in Ecclesiastes that even if you live 2,000 years, I'm going to read it. Ecclesiastes 6:6 says, it reads as follows. Let's start with number 1. In this world, there's another evil very common amongst men, as I've been able to see. God gives to some abundant riches and splendor, and they never lack anything of what they wish for. But he doesn't allow them to enjoy of all that, but others enjoy that. This is also a vain illusion, and it's rather lamentable. A man can have 100 children. Well, only if he has 100 women, or at least 50 women, or else how is he going to have 100 women, 100 children with one woman? A man could have 100 children and live many years, but it doesn't matter how long he lives if he doesn't enjoy fully of what's good. And if he doesn't receive a proper burial, I sustain that an aborted child is worth more than that man. Wow. That is wisdom. and it's not depression. It depresses you to see what Yahweh does. That's what happens. That the depression comes because of the Creator, because you see His creation. You see, like what I've told you about my mom, which is an infamous case. To tell you what, if I were to tell you I took care of my grandpa or my mom until they died, it doesn't matter, but it is terrible. Like I was listening to a psychiatrist, says I had a case of a man and woman that always lived depressed, and that's why. It's just, ever since I was 2 years old, they told me later that my dad and all the friends of my dad would grape me every day since I was 2 years old. So then you say, yeah, there are people that have gone through worse things. They've gone through worse things. So then you might say, I'm going to look at the positive side of things, of course, because you're not living in Gaza. If here in this reunion, there's someone that says, no, you have to look at things positive like I do. Okay, I recommend to you to go to Gaza right now and spend a week there with them, with the brethren of Gaza. Spend a week there, right there, in the strip. But by force, let's see if you survive the week. You enter and all the rest to see that your beautiful life doesn't let you see the misery that happens in this world. So then all those sons of bitches, and I was one of them, that said and recommended, no, you have to look at the positive side of life. I don't believe that anymore. I want you to look at the most negative part of what exists in your life and also in the rest for you to say, for this to end. Because the more you look for positive things in your life, in order for you to feel good, what you're doing is to say, the world, tell it to fuck off. I want to feel good. Damn it. I'm going to do this for myself. And the rest, nah, I don't care about anything else. If all of us were to start to think negatively, this would end. This would end. But what happens is that egotism makes you think and believe we have to look at things positively. No. Look at what really happened not in your life. Forget about your life. Look at what happens in all the rest of the sectors. People are dying, suffering, and really having a bad time. You may tell me, but that's not a way to live. Actually, it isn't. But of course, I'm in wisdom. Maybe you're still in youth. But look at what Solomon says. A man may have 100 sons and live many years, but it doesn't matter how long he lives. If he doesn't enjoy it fully of what's good, and to enjoy what's good is to live in abundance, mind you. To enjoy what's good is not to go to work and to be thinking and counting the dollars and the pennies to see how you pay for keep the lights on. That you can't buy this or that because it's too expensive. You wish you could have it, but let's save it to see if next month or in 5 years we can buy it. And you look and you don't have a car that you would love to have a car, but if you had a car, you don't have enough to pay for the insurance or the mechanic. And if you have a car, it's all dog shit, and you wish you could fix it, and you do it, fix things yourself, and it makes sounds. The air conditioner, maybe you don't even have air conditioner, and the wheels you use, or the wheels, you don't have money for the new ones. So much necessity. Everything was fine, but maybe you wish you had a better one because there's a disaster, making noise all over the place. Or as you live in a place where they steal it and you cannot even have a car, or you live in fear, you're always looking for them to not get rob you or stolen or anything, and say, hold on just a moment. Yep, that's what happens. That actually the world lives completely unhappy compared with what this guy says. He says, a guy that lives very well, that has 100 children, when he dies and he doesn't have a proper burial, which is stupidity no matter how many burials he has. Look at the burial of Ozzy Osbourne. Poor Ozzy, genius, master, complete. What good is the burial for him or Queen Elizabeth? Doesn't matter. No matter how many. He's dead. She's dead. She's dead. You don't breathe anymore. You can no longer sing, I'm coming home. You're already at home, buried. You're there. it angers you a lot. It says an aborted child is worth more than that man. An aborted child? An aborted child means a dead child, not a child. An aborted child, it's an abortion. A child that has been aborted, that never lived. This is in the end of it all. The one that never lived is better than to live this dog shit life. The wisest of all the man says this of that time. For if even that child is lost to nothing, he explains to you if you didn't understand. For therefore, even if that child is lost to naught, in darkness where his name will be ignored, and if even he doesn't get to see the sun or to know anything, at least he shall have more rest than that man, which could have lived 2,000 years, yet not enjoy his goods. And in the end of it all, they all go to the same place. And I could continue to read more things of Ecclesiastes, which is in the Bible, which is the words of a wise man, that all of the women he had, and I'm sure he also had all the men he wanted as well, and all the money he wanted, and was the richest king of Israel, the one that had more territories of Israel, the one that enjoyed his territory more. Solomon did not do wars. He didn't need to do wars. He would just say, make love, not war. I remember they would always say, make love, not war. So Solomon would make love, not war. The guy ended up saying this: what good is anything? Why did he say that? Because he was dying. And when you're dying, but once you already know you're dying, because I could tell you that at 20, 30 years old, and you may laugh at me, you said, oh yeah, I have to study, I have to do this and that. He might be saying, you're dying, but not me. At 30 years old, you tell somebody you're dying, he's like, no, I'm barely getting married. At 40 years old, yeah, also. And at 50, maybe something hurts. And at 60, you start to think about it. How much do I have left? 70? You're kneeling, praying to God. And at 80, if you even get there, fine. And if not, it is such a continuous suffering. Just like that, continuous suffering. And you get to write this. Because everything, all the senses come clear when you're about to lose something. You know how they say you don't value something until you lose it? Okay, fine. You don't value life until we're about to lose it. When you're about to lose it, it says, how much would I give for less than 50 years? Offer Bill Gates and all the money he's got and tell him, look, give me everything, all of your assets, all of your properties, companies, Microsoft, all the lands you have bought, you son of a bitch. Everything that you have in the pharmakeia, all the billions of dollars, all of it, sign this paper and give it all to me, and I give you 60 years younger. When you sign it to me, and this goes to my bank, you'll be a 20-year-old. You know how Bill Gates, he won't even think about it. He will sign it. He says, where do I sign? If he has the certainty that he'll obtain it, of course, right? If he knows that he's going to obtain it because he's seen it in another, he says, let me sign it. I'll give you everything. With my mind, a rich man becomes rich again. He doesn't care about his assets. You know, Bill Gates can say, no, I'll keep everything that I have. I have how much to live. He'll give you everything. Trump will sign everything over. The millionaires would sign everything over. Soros, I mean, forget it. Soros, he would sign everything over. If you tell him you need 70 years less, you know how they would sign everything over? Because life is priceless. Life is priceless. It's priceless. You value it once you get, and you look back that actually, that from the edge, you're a step away. When you don't look at the edge, You could give a fuck. It's like, yeah, it's fine. Let's go. YOLO. You know what I'm saying? And like the tango says, that life is nothing but a sigh, and 20 years is nothing. Every last millionaire of the world would give their fortune away if there were an individual that could give them back life, actually, to reduce their age and to return them to their youth. So then, what is my conclusion of all this? That I find it a deceit. That we teach. That I have to look at everything as positive in life. Because you have to learn the small things. When you wake up all of a sudden in the Matrix, you wake up. There are people that will want to go back to the dream and say, I'll betray them, but I want to enjoy my steak, even if it's fake. That is the perfect representation of what I'm saying. When you wake up to the reality, you no longer see the things that you saw beautiful before. You don't see them, you no longer see them. There's no sense. It makes no sense. Nothing makes sense. That's what Solomon said. It's all vanity. It is all vain. So then, there is the answer, and the answer is, how am I going to look in other books when we are capable, with the experience we've got, it is more than left over, and with the experience that we've got of seeing that what we've seen, but of that, don't worry about it, because we didn't just receive the kingdom by decree of Yahweh, we also received a superior intelligence than the one we have now. We're not just going to receive the kingdom and fix it yourself. No, because we would be yet another beast. We would be yet another beast, a human beast, another beast. No. We have to receive the kingdom and a power of God that turns us into the powerful God. We have to have so much power so as to annul death. The very same one that said, you shall return to dust, for thou shalt surely die. With just the word of the new God of saying, there is no more death. What is annulled is the pain of the women when they give birth. The subjugation of women towards men. What's annulled is the tiredness of man of having to eat with the sweat of his brow. What's annulled is that the earth produces thorns and thistles. Also for animals to eat each other. They're going to start to eat plants and vegetables that will grow all deliciously instead of thorns and thistles. So then, it's not that we have to look for the idea in a book that will wake up our life to know how to rule and make a new earth, because we're going to base it in a book, but rather it is way past that. It is a lot more wisdom. Is understanding in what type of world we live in, what system we have, and what could work. And if it doesn't work in a way, to change it, to make it work in a different way until we see that it's got the effect we're looking for. Because we're not going to be a group that is dogmatic. The God creator, this is my Torah, and here it is my word. It is not changed. No, no, no. We are going to test what works, and if it doesn't work, it is changed until it works in a way that is beneficial to all. That is why on that side we should not worry about it, because with the terrain, a special power also comes along. that Yahweh placed in a term that is very fantastious, which are the seven spirits: the spirit of wisdom, the spirit of power, all types of spirits. That indicates that it is different powers, although it may seem to be a fantasy if you don't have a higher class than the one what we have now, then we could not do what I'm telling you that we will do. Very well. Have you looked at the invitation? Leslie told me that it was matzah, our cat. She's precious. Spectacular. When she was little, how old was she there? How old is she now? What do you mean you don't know? 11 weeks. 10 or 12 weeks. Wow. Very well. So then, I'll read that book later that I'm telling you how good it is. I haven't looked at the chat to see if anybody read it. If somebody has already read it, could comment something about the book. Has anybody read that book? Anyway, next Sunday, Boca. I don't care about Argentina playing. I want Boca to play. I could care less about... I care about Boca playing. I'm so angry that there was no Boca this week. I care less if Messi scores twice or nothing. What I want is for Boca to play, and we play next Sunday, against a team that is doing good, Rosario Central, in the city of Rosario. Without not one fan of Boca there, the whole stadium of the fans of Rosario Central in Rosario, so it's going to be difficult. Right there, we're going to see if Boca has become better or if we play with teams that it's nobody there. We'll see how Boca is doing, because if we beat the ones that we beat, Aldo City, little teams like this, then those are not a good measure. But now Rosario Central is a good measure. That is where we're gonna give the measure. Our coach has been checked in after the game. You see how in the game he was... you saw him sitting in the bench, and he had like a shirt that was kind of inflated here because it was very cold. He was wearing some coats here. The guy was sitting there with this kind of bloated. He was not pregnant. It was something underneath. And he would fall asleep sometimes, like many of you here, and I don't even criticize you. There was a couple of you that were asleep, like Coach Russo, but oh well. Poor Coach Russo. They said he fell asleep during the game because he takes some medicine that are so strong, I can imagine. They make you fall asleep, and as it turns out that after the game, they took him to a clinic to some test. He wasn't feeling all that great, and they found a urinary tract infection. We know what that answers to in every single one of the occasions. If you follow our subjects, you could say without making a mistake that it generally, I'm going to say generally, responds to what kind of a conflict? It's territorial. We got lost just like the animals, thanks to Yahweh, that we mark our territory with our urine. Animals do so, we do too. It's just that humans don't recognize that part. You don't recognize that part. When there are problems in your territory, some territorial problem, sometimes that system becomes ulcerated, and then what happens is pain for the recuperation of the ulceration and all the rest. I mean, this all starts with the kidneys, the whole system that we use for eliminating liquids. Starts with the kidney, the prostate, and all the rest that happens. What happened to Russo? I couldn't say what happened to, but I would think that, of course, there's something in his territory that's happening. That could be the president, it could be the press. The thing is that Miguel Angel Russo's not doing great. He's not ready to work with a first-class team. We should tell him to rest. We should tell him, look, we'll pay you the rest, have you do something else, but you're not here ready to guide Boca, even if you're a very good coach, the best coach in the world. Your health is not good for that. You should do something else. When you get better and you're doing okay and you can run, jump, and be standing there in the field, I'll let you guide. But if you're just sitting there like the Godfather, I can't let you coach. That is what should happen, but it doesn't happen. I've told you, he should not be Boca's coach. He is not doing that. The helper is doing it, Ubeda. So now he's been checked in. I don't know if he's checked out already, but the people, with their conclusions, they said no, because he had because he had prostate cancer. It was taken out. They gave him chemo and all the rest. That's why he is bald. Also, right. No, okay, he's out already. Okay. Okay, like Leslie said, it's because he takes a whole bunch of meds, a whole cocktail. So mainly it could be something with territory or what he's taking. So then anyway, I'm not a doctor, so for anything about this, you should consult your doctor, and we have to wait. I hope he gets better. My best wishes is for him to get better, but I would separate him. He would have a better recuperation. The last thing he needs is the terrible responsibility of being the coach of Boca Juniors, the greatest team of all time. No. Russo should rest and have put somebody else in charge. That no. We'll go next Sunday. We'll have to wait a whole week. Anyway. I think that with everything that I've taught you, I think that I'm going to leave you. Because I think that I've taught you enough about many things. I do not want, of course, that question that they asked me, that's what the subject became about, which I like it a lot. That's why I read it, and I liked it a lot, for you to express yourselves, how the new system will be. We cannot say how it'll be now. No, simply not. Now, the book that's recommended, I think it'll help a lot, but I bought it either way to read it, if it's a novel or whatever, maybe. It's fun. There's no book, I want to make this very clear. There's no book written on earth that has an authority. And speaking about Matzah, she showed up. Is she on camera? She's looking at the flowers. Oh, she showed up right there on camera. Matzah did. Michi. Come here, Michi. Come here, Michi. What a beautiful baby. What a beautiful cat. What a cute little cat. The cats are so odd. They're so odd. This cat is, here she is, droon, droon, droon. She's going droon, droon, droon. What a beautiful little kitten. Careful with Mrs. Justice. Did you turn her over? Well, she likes the flowers. Anyway, she showed up because it was in the pictures. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, what was I going to tell you? She right there? No. Matzah. No. Oh, wait a minute. She's starting to growl. Come here. Oh, what a beautiful little cat. That beautiful little cat. What a precious cat. What a beautiful little kitten. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, the microphone says, oh, that's cute. I'm going to caress everything. You know why they knock things over? It's not that they don't know. They caress themselves, and that's how they knock everything over. Careful with the oil, careful with the menorah. Should I take her out? She'll go on her own. There it is. I just wanted to clarify, I just remembered. I still don't have the age so advanced that I forget. I wanted to clarify that the Bible is our only... I have hairs all over the place. Is what it is having a cat.